Okay, what it do, man? So look, we just went over college football in the last video. You can check it out on the page. Today we ready to do the Madden 27 franchise mode. I guess this is just a I don't know. I haven't looked at this video. I don't know. I just seen I fuck with Eric. I fuck with a lot of his vids, so I just wanted to react to this and kind of see what Madden, because I haven't really looked into Madden. We just looked into NCAA on the last vid. So this is going to be my first time really looking into Madden, which I don't feel like it's going to be too much different from NCAA, but that's why I want to see this. I kind of want to see how he break it down and see how franchise mode going to do. And I'm a big fan of franchise mode, so I'm one of them people who kind of want them to add a little bit more into franchise mode. I feel like a lot of this stuff is just like, I feel like I don't understand why we don't have like real dialogue, like people actually talking. You know what I'm saying? I just feel like it's 2027, gang. Like, why people not talking? Like, why? I just feel like it's fucking words and text. That's stupid. But we ready to get into the video, man. Make sure y'all drop a like, man. Comment, subscribe, man. We're gonna see what Eric Rayweather talking about, man. Let's get it.
For years, one of the biggest problems with franchise mode is that players never really acted like actual people. Guys would sit on bad contracts, nobody ever held out, nobody would demand trades, and contract negotiations were basically just moving numbers around on a screen and hoping the player said yes. Now, I just got done reading through the entire Madden 27 franchise deep dive, and I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw words like the Persona engine, I said, oh, here we go again. Because you know, when it comes to any of these sports games, publishers always like to give things fancy names, and in the past, we've seen some good things happen, but we've also seen some other things hyped up that just didn't really work. Now, on paper, franchise mode, in my opinion, looks like it's finally getting to that spot that we really have wanted it to be at for a long time. Will all of this stuff work? That we'll have to wait and see, but let's break down everything you can expect in Madden 27. We're talking things like player holdouts, trade demands, interactive contract negotiations.
I ain't gonna lie. See, I wasn't expecting that. There's a lot of stuff that I'm not hip. That's why I'm really watching this. And that's kind of why I want to react to the video with y'all. Because I know there's other people out there who might not know this shit, gang. But contract holdouts, that's going to be crazy. That's going to be crazy. I'm not going to lie. For a player to hold out, that's going to impact your team in a major way. That's going to bring the realism to the game, bro. I like that. I can't wait to see shit like that.
A completely new free agency system, and much more. Now, they also haven't released a bunch of footage for franchise mode, so I'm going to have to use some of the footage from the opening drive event. So the first thing we have to talk about is the Persona engine, which is the big marketing thing this year, but they're calling this the biggest foundational change to franchise mode since the first year of connected franchise. And I believe they're calling this a big foundational change because this isn't a system of just adding new features, and it's more so adding how the entire franchise mode lives and breathes. So if it works properly, this would be a very massive foundational change. Now, the foundation of franchise mode this year is the new Persona engine, a system designed to make players behave more like real people. This is going to impact things like player behavior, their contract negotiations, things like weekly management, news, free agency, and more. And it's going to create a more dynamic and unpredictable franchise experience, which is what we all want. Every player will now have a unique Persona DNA that determines their mindset, their motivations, their career priorities, their reactions to things, and their long-term behavior. More than 65 personality types exist, and players can even develop temporary persona traits over time. Now, as a result, players will evaluate their situations differently. A star who feels underpaid may react differently than a veteran chasing a championship, while a younger player on a struggling team may have different priorities than a franchise quarterback on a contender. Unlike the traditional scripted scenarios of the past, the Persona engine serves as the behavioral foundation for franchise mode. Most of the old scripted scenarios have been removed, with player decisions now driven organically by context and their individual Persona DNA. This allows players to make career decisions based on their goals, their role, their contract situation, team success, and future outlook. Again, if this all works, this is going to be one of the biggest changes franchise mode has ever seen, but we got to see it in action to know for sure. And they said that this is inspired by real life. It says the last several months of football gave us contract disputes, holdouts, trade demands, unhappy stars, and teams trying to manage all of it in real time. And they said they wanted to bring that feeling and suspense into Madden. That tension is part of modern NFL team building, and they wanted franchise mode to capture that. So let's move into the next part of this, which is player holdouts and trade demands. Now, in terms of player holdouts, I don't even think we've had this in the game since maybe the PS2 days. And for a while, it was said that
imagine, dog. See, that's what I'm saying, gang. Like, I don't know if you're not a franchise player, gang, you ain't gonna really get excited over this shit. But just imagine, bro, you gotta stop playing on your team, gang. Imagine if they did storylines through franchise, like they had like storyline, little traits you can kind of do to implement your story, implement your little franchise. Imagine if they did that shit, gang. That'd be, my God. But imagine you having a crazy ass star running back, gang. Next thing you know, you want to get traded. You gotta trade this nigga. That's gonna be hard.
The NFL didn't want something like this in the game because, you know, it made their players look bad, but I guess they've gotten around that. And this has been one of the most requested features in the history of franchise mode since it went away. Players can now hold out. If a star feels underpaid or undervalued or is just unhappy with the situation, he can refuse to participate until the issue is addressed. And this is not a random event that fires off as just a notification. Holdouts are driven by the persona engine. A player's DNA, their contract status, team success, and more will factor into whether he decides to take a stand. And a holdout will be an active situation that requires real management. You can negotiate, you can have a conversation to try to shift his mindset, you can wait it out and see if he comes around, or you can explore trade, which I like hearing all this. There's different ways that you can attack this, which is just like real life. Now, we also have player trade demands. When things deteriorate beyond a holdout, players can now demand a trade. This is when it reaches the escalation point. When a player has decided the relationship is no longer working and he wants out, he's going to make that known. And the trade demands are driven by the same persona DNA system. Now, when a star wants out, it's going to hit the news.
Which imagine having a star backup running back. A star backup running back who, you know, like, you got a starter running back who he nice. But then you got this young star running back that, you feel me, it just ain't his time yet, but it's coming. But he end up getting impatient and demand a trade. And your star running back, he old, he finna retire or something. Now you fucking around, be out of 2 running backs the next year. That's tough. I ain't gonna lie. That's tough.
Is another new part of franchise mode this year. You have a news ticker where it'll pop things up. Other teams are going to start calling, and suddenly you're in a position where you have to decide how you want to handle it. But it also says here that conversations can change the outcome. Just as importantly, you're not limited to just watching this play out. If a player is unhappy, you can talk to him. You can try to shift his mindset, and depending on who he is and how compelling your case is, you may be able to repair the relationship and change what happens next. And it says this is a key part of what makes the persona engine special. It's not just creating more drama, it's creating more interactive player management. And I think this is really good. I just really hope this all works. Hey, if you're still here at this point of the video and you haven't subscribed yet, you should go ahead and subscribe because I'm going to have some exclusive Madden 27 content coming for you guys really soon, including some more early gameplay. And you're not going to want to miss out on any of that. Now, moving on to the next part of all of this is called emergent actions. And it says this is a better weekly flow. Emergent actions replace the old weekly flow from Madden 26 with a focus on interaction and prioritization. They're not notifications or unorganized clutter. Every emergent action asks you to make a real decision. A player wants to talk about his role, a contract situation is heating up. These surface based on what is actually happening in your league that week, driven by the persona engine. Emergent actions are designed to bring the most important things you need to care about every week to you and transform weekly management from mature into meaningful decision making. This is one of the clearest examples of the persona engine changing the actual shape of franchise. A player issue does not live in some disconnected screen. It becomes part of your week, just like weekly strategy became a meaningful part of your week in Madden 26. You can also now delegate actions to your staff. When you do, you will see exactly what your staff plans to do before you confirm. So there's no guesswork or no blind delegation. Now, we spoke a little bit about news previously, but let's go a little deeper on that now. There's a new system for getting news that is built into Madden 27. A persistent news ticker now runs across every screen, so you never miss what is happening around the league. Major stories trigger breaking news alerts with picture-in-picture presentation.
It just be the little shit like that, bro. Like why wouldn't, it's a franchise game. Why wouldn't we want the news updated, scrolling across our screen at all time? Why did it take so long for them to do this?
And Scott Hansen audio, and a dedicated news center screen is accessible from anywhere in franchise. Depth chart, season stats, the news center is always one button away. You'll never have to hunt for it. The news center includes filters so you can narrow down just your team, just your multi-user league.
I ain't gonna lie, this right here, this giving like that real ESPN vibe. Like this right here, yeah. I ain't gonna lie. This giving that real ESPN vibe, like, you know, like this is crazy. This is tough. I ain't gonna lie. This is
specific story types like trades and draft coverage or league-wide news. You have total control over what you're seeing. And this might seem like a small thing, but honestly, this is one of my favorite additions they added this year because it just looks like a real news ticker, and it also works pretty good from what I've seen. And it kind of brings back that old feel of, you know, maybe like a Tony Bruno show or like the newspaper. Obviously, it's a completely different system. We're in 2026 now, but it gives me similar vibes to that. Now, continuing on here, breaking news pops up through a brand new notification system that is impossible to miss. Rumors surface in a way that keeps franchise connected to what is happening beyond your team. This will include real evolving stories around questions like which players are unhappy with their contract, tired of losing, or would be willing to restructure their contracts to help the team with the cap room. And because this is all tied to the Persona engine, the news is not just decorative, it is grounded in actual league behavior. So as you can see, this is why they're calling it such a big foundational year, because the Persona engine kind of runs all of this stuff. But again, we just have to hope that it works properly. Now, this brings us to the next really big thing about franchise mode this year, and that's interactive contract negotiations. Contract negotiations have been completely rebuilt in Madden 27 with a new multi-session negotiation mini-game designed to create a more interactive back and forth between the players and the teams. Negotiations now include patience and interest meters, as well as curveball moments that can change the direction of a negotiation. Because negotiations are driven by the Persona engine, each player can value different things and approach contract talks differently. So for example, discussions may begin with salary demands but can shift toward guarantees, contract length, team role expectations, or other priorities based on a player's personality. Your decisions throughout the negotiation impact both the patience and the interest. If patience reaches 0, the negotiation will end, while reaching 100 interest allows you to complete the deal and sign the player. Players can now introduce unexpected demands and take negotiations in different directions, creating unique experiences from player to player. The new negotiation interface also displays player ratings, persona DNA, and statistics, which will allow you to evaluate players without leaving the screen, which is another huge plus. Now, continuing on with this, that brings us to tags, tenders, and real off-season tools. So every type of franchise tag and transition tag is now in the game. The exclusive franchise tag locks a player on your team. The non-exclusive franchise tag allows teams to make an offer, but you receive 2 first-round picks as compensation. The transition tag gives you the right to match any offer. Each one works differently and carries different salary implications and gives tagged players different rights. Restricted free agency now includes every tier of the RFA tender with proper draft pick compensation. First round, second round, original round, and the right of first refusal tenders are all available. So these give you the same tools that real front offices use to protect young talent while managing cap space. Again, this is the type of stuff we've been asking about for years. So if it works properly.
For years, bro. Little shit, bro. And it's so crazy. It's like you don't even realize that you're missing it until they put that bitch in there. And that's when you realize, like, oh shit, why the fuck they ain't been put this in there? You tripping, like. But like I said, y'all know my theory, gang. They not gonna put all their eggs in one basket. They gonna drop different shit every year, different things every year, add different things, take out certain things, add different things. They got a bunch of shit that they can do, gang. They just waiting till next year to do it. They waiting for NCAA 28 to do it. Feel them,
franchise is finally getting to the spot where we truly want it to be.
Hell yeah.
And that brings us to free agency, which was redone a few years ago, but they have now redone it yet again and has made it a little bit crazier, but I think a lot of people are going to like this. Free Agent Frenzy is a new live offseason event where all 32 teams compete to sign free agents during a compressed 12-hour window that simulates the opening hours of NFL free agency. Teams advance hour by hour, deciding when to be aggressive and when to hold back. Player ratings, stats, and persona DNA are all available on the event screen to help inform decisions. Now, because all teams are going to participate simultaneously, Free Agent Frenzy creates a more competitive free agency experience where every decision can impact the market. Madden 27 is also introducing undrafted rookie free agents. After the draft, undrafted prospects enter a dedicated signing window that functions as a second Free Agent Frenzy event. This gives every team an opportunity to compete for overlooked prospects and add developmental talent before the preseason. This kind of reminds me more of how free agency was back in Madden 12, I believe. It was a little more chaotic. It had a timer and things like that. This is obviously a little bit different than that system, but I think this kind of helps simulate how chaotic real life free agency actually is. Now we got to move on to something else that is a huge deal with franchise mode, and that is Super Sim, and it says it's been rebalanced, but they say this all the time, so we got to wait and see. It says one of the biggest pieces of feedback that they heard is that playbooks had too much influence on sim outcomes. When certain schemes become overly powerful, teams start performing in ways that do not match their actual personnel or ratings. It says Super Sim has been fully retuned to reduce volatility and put more weight back on ratings and roster quality. The best rosters should still produce the best results. But I have to be honest, you got to show me. You can't tell me with this one because we've heard.
Right, bro. Because, like, I don't understand this. I don't understand that. Like, what do you mean? Oh, let me put it up. What do you mean? Teams stop performing with it. Don't matter. Super Sim has been fully retuned to reduce. But I don't understand why it had to be retuned to reduce it. And why did I put it up? Feel me? Like, best roster should produce the best result. I feel like this is what y'all said last year. You feel me? So I feel like a lot of shit like that is like, they just be having shit to fill in just to say some shit.
Volatility and put more weight back on ratings and roster quality. The best rosters should still produce the best results. But I have to be honest, you got to show me. You can't tell me with this one because we've heard this in the past. And this is a huge immersion breaker when it doesn't work properly. It also says teams adapt with the roster. One of the most exciting long-term changes is that teams will now adapt their playbooks based on personnel. If a team moves on from a quarterback who defined their offensive identity and drafts a new QB with a completely different style, the team adjusts how they play. This applies in gameplay and in Super Sim. Same goes with building your offense around a new star halfback or running back. When Travis Kelce leaves the Chiefs, they won't spend the next 10 years throwing to their tight end like he's still on the roster. Again, you're going to have to show me instead of just telling me when it comes to stuff like this. But if this is true, this is a massive change. Even though it may seem small to some people, this is actually a pretty big deal. We also have a real coach mode finally. Not every franchise player wants to control every snap. Some want to just be a strategist. Coach mode will give you that experience. You can call the plays, manage the roster, handle emergent actions, and let your players execute on the field. And with the new coach mode settings and camera that they've added to the game this year, it's going to make this experience so much better. We also have real coordinators in the game finally. I was really unsure if this would ever make a return, but this year, the coaching staff got a lot more real. The coaching staff in franchise now includes real NFL coordinators. Your offensive and defensive coordinators are no longer generic stand-ins, but real people with defined identities, adding another layer of authenticity to staff management that has been requested for a long time. They also mentioned college coach archetypes, which is pretty cool. Your coaching career no longer has to end at the college level. The college coach archetype knows that you play dynasty mode this year in college and will unlock a special coach archetype when you start your career in franchise mode that includes special coach abilities and play sheets that you cannot unlock with any other coach archetype in franchise mode. So this is just another way that they're connecting college football and Madden, which I think is pretty cool.
Okay.
They've also added dynamic weather, which I have talked about in previous videos, but this is going to be a big deal in franchise mode as well, because now the weather can change on a play-to-play basis. The rain can get heavier or it can stop completely. The game can begin with no snow, and then by the end of the game, it's a blizzard, and that's going to make the weather games feel a lot more real. It also says here that they've improved wear and tear. It says this year they're making it smarter and more impactful. The decisions you make about workload, rest, and usage now carry more authentic consequences across a full season. A workhorse running back who never gets a breather is going to feel it down the stretch. And for those of you that like to create your own coaches, it says that they've also added some more customization options. And hey, last year they added a ton of these, so I'm happy to see that they're building on that even though they added so much last year. There's new gear and there's the ability to equip and remove hats, visors, and headsets, which is pretty cool. Another big thing here that I'm going to have to see before I believe it is smarter CPU trade logic. It says that trades have been expanded under the hood to create more authentic environments in franchise. Teams are...
Man, I ain't gonna lie. I feel like I'm gonna forget a lot of this shit once the game come out. And I'm not gonna remember that they said, well, this was supposed to be that. But again, I gotta see this shit, bro. I gotta see this shit. Cause the way they making it is like they really fixed a lot of problems that we had in the previous game. And if so, gang, this could be one of the best.
Now more active around key points of the season, taking into account their current standings and how aggressive they'll look to improve to begin the rebuilding process. When they do execute a trade, a greater emphasis on immediate impact as well as the money they'll have to invest in their new acquired asset will be a critical consideration. And it says that this doesn't just stop at the trade deadline. During the offseason, CPU teams will now trade exactly as you see on the biggest stage, the NFL draft. This is another very, very big change. The prospects available will determine whether a team aggressively moves up for the perfect fit or opts to find future value when the board didn't work out in their favor. This is another really key thing that has been missing for franchise for a long time. And another thing here that's really cool is tiered player abilities. It says that this year there's a new dynamic element to player abilities in gameplay. They're called tiered abilities. In franchise, these tiered abilities are now tied to player progression. Players will enter the league with ability tiers based on their real life performance, but as they progress and improve throughout the seasons, their abilities will improve with them. I think they're basically kind of taking the ability system from college now and they're bringing that over to Madden. But I think in Madden, because these are pro level athletes, they can unlock more abilities than the college players can. So I think this is going to be a better overall system. People seem to like it better in college, so it looks like they're just bringing that to Madden now, and I think that's going to be a good change. Now, a big part of what makes this year different according to them is not just the size of the feature list, it's the way that the features are going to connect. Last year, they delivered a lot of big franchise updates, but this year they wanted to add more than just features. They wanted the systems to feel integrated. The persona DNA, the news, the negotiations, the weekly management, the contracts, the free agency, they wanted to all kind of reinforce each other. And it says this is why the persona engine matters so much. It's not one isolated feature, it's a thing that makes all of franchise mode come alive. Again, we have to see it to believe it because we've heard about different engines and different systems in the past, and some of them have been better than others, but a lot of times they didn't fully deliver what we thought they would. And I'm not expecting everything in the mode to be perfect. I'm not expecting every system to just absolutely blow my mind, but if they can deliver a solid experience based on all of this information, then franchise mode is going to be in the best spot it's been in a very, very long time. Now, if you want to know more about actual Madden 27 gameplay, I had some early exclusive footage, and you can check that out right here on the screen.
Yeah, I'm ready, bro. I'm just ready. I don't even know if I need to do any more reactions for Madden or college football. I think the next time you see us in college football or Madden, we're gonna be in superstar mode or we're gonna be on dynasty mode. So yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready for this shit, gang. Let me know if y'all ready for this shit, man. Let me know what positions y'all gonna tap into when this shit come out. And let me know, man, cause I ain't gonna lie. All right. I'm having a hard time. So in my mind, I feel like I'm not gonna be able to play college football and Madden. I just feel like I'm not gonna have time to do that. Just play, like, I never really played 2 games at one time. I usually only play 1 game. I just don't feel like I have time to be playing multiple games. I feel like if I'm gonna play 1 game, I'm gonna play it for the time that I have to play the game. And then after that, I'm gonna do something else, but I'm not gonna play multiple games. So I just need help, man. I just need y'all to just drop like in the comments which one should I get, college football or Madden, and help me out, please.